Well, I think, what we wanted to do today was to just kind of set the stage, and then maybe we can just flow into, what we're doing. We wanted to talk a little bit about Brave Like McKenna, who we are, who she is and was, and what brought us to this point today, and then also what we hope, to accomplish, or at least kind of share our vision for the starting point of this particular part of this journey. So I will try to keep it together as much as possible. And we wanted to start by talking a little bit about, who McKenna was. She is and was Janelle and I's middle daughter. She was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer at the age of 11 and passed away shortly after her 12th birthday. Previous to her diagnosis, she was the most vibrant, beautiful elementary school girls you've ever seen. She loved Girl Scouts, tons of friends, super social, played volleyball, very athletic. She was always first up for an adventure. She loved being outside, playing in the creeks, grandparents' farms. Growing up, one of her favorite places to be. And she was just, she was my little girl. July of 2023, McKenna started having these really episodic and unexplained headaches. As a completely healthy, 11-year-old child, Janelle and I just kind of thought, okay, nutrition, hydration, all of the typical stuff, and really just attacked it, I think, as any parents would, kind of narrowing down what could be causing these things. They would come and go seemingly without any explanation. Kind of built up to the point where they kept happening. Urgent care got involved. No one could really figure it out. And so August, that went on for about a month or so. August of 2023, pediatrician gets involved, says, I don't like where we're at here, orders an MRI immediately. And so that day, Janelle and McKenna went to, happened to be the first day of school for her 5th grade year. And so Janelle and McKenna went to imaging, and I went to work, and a couple hours later, we had results that she had a 4.2 centimeter tumor in the back of her brain, positioned right between the big brain, little brain, kind of an atypical place for a tumor for these pediatric cancerous tumors. And so we were blessed enough to have a situation where she was able to have surgery. A lot of times we found out, hindsight, these poor kids aren't even able to get biopsies, much less have any good surgical results because of the placement of these tumors and how enveloped they can be in the brain. Right, usually in the pons of the brain. Hers was not. We were able to have incredibly successful surgical results, gross total resection, meaning they were able to actually go in there and surgically remove all of her tumor, which is incredibly rare in these circumstances. We were incredibly grateful for that. Her recovery period seemed incredible. She did great. She was home in about a week and a half. However, we did learn right around that time the pathology of her particular tumor. It's called diffuse midline glioma, which is extremely rare, extremely aggressive, and terminal pediatric brain cancer. So it's basically the worst news you could possibly get considering the situation that you're in. Very unsure of the landscape of how to proceed. There are not a lot of options, especially for pediatrics. But no matter what you do, when you find yourself in this space, you go through radiation. So no matter what, we were going to do a 6-week regimen of super cutting edge radiation. Thank goodness here locally in the Kansas City metro area, had an incredible team help us through that, and we just, walked right through that. She, showed up every day.
Bravely.
Incredibly brave, and just knocked it out of the park.
During that time, we had the 6 weeks of radiation, and we had met with the radiation oncologist to discuss, what other options there were. And because of, like he said, her gross total resection, they didn't consider McKenna to have measurable disease. And because of that, aside from radiation, we had no trial medicine options in the United States. And that means that we would have to wait until McKenna's tumor grew back before we could participate in a trial here in the United States. And during that time, and lots of sleepless nights, thinking about the outcome, I talked to Keith about forming what we called McKenna's care team. And Keith and I began emailing and calling friends and family and clinicians that we knew, and researchers, to kind of form together what we called McKenna's care team. And we knew that to be successful, no matter the outcome, that we were going to need a team of people to help us through. During that time, McKenna continued to go to school, and she played volleyball some as well, and we were able to see our kid go back to baseline pretty much. And that is not something that a lot of kids in McKenna's, with McKenna's diagnosis, are able to do, especially through radiation. Because we did this particular cutting edge radiation here in Kansas City, she was able to not have a lot of inflammation and necrosis of the brain, which allowed her to just physically be able to do all of those things. And we could not be more overjoyed or encouraged by that. So again, during this time, 6 weeks, we prepared, and our friends did a lot of fundraising, and a lot of our family reached out to other connections that they had to continue to raise funds for us. New Year's Eve, we boarded a plane to Germany, and
all 5 of us, by the way, took all 3 kids with us, parents, kids, decided
early on that going together was going to be really important. And we really made a way for Jameson and Avery to be able to come with us, continue to study, but to have that really concerted family time And to do this together was really important to us. And we knew that, whole body healing meant being whole, which is all of us together. And so, yes, we all made our way to Germany.
Cologne, Germany.
Mm-hmm. And were met with just some incredible people that were able to help us along the way. And McKenna participated in 2 rounds of immunotherapy. One of our goals from the very beginning for McKenna, just not only with her amazing surgical results, but we wanted to pick any kind of medicine or trial, if we were to be able to participate in one, that had low toxicity and allowed McKenna, if McKenna was going to have shortened time on Earth, to be able to not be confined to a bed or our house, and to be able to have medication that allowed her to just continue to be a kid. And we were successful in that. When we were in Germany, we had just some of the best doctors and incredible care during her immunotherapy there. It allowed us to travel, and we were able to explore the Netherlands and explore Paris, yes. And McKenna, for the most part, felt pretty good during that time. But we returned from Paris, and McKenna, within about a week's time, started to become symptomatic. And at the time, we thought that it was a possible side effect of a different medication that she was taking. And about 3 days in, which they consider a trend, she had had headaches, vomiting, and nausea consistently in about the same time of day. And that led us to an MRI, and we went to the hospital there in Germany, and they let us know that McKenna's tumor had returned in the same spot, but it had also progressed in other areas of her brain. This is obviously not the news that we wanted, but it was our circumstances. And McKenna had an opportunity to be admitted actually on Saturday night, and she was emphatic that she wanted to go home to our apartment. And Keith and the kids spent a lot of time just snuggling and hanging out, and I think she was able to FaceTime a cousin, and I spent a couple of hours in the back bedroom calling and emailing anybody that I could, any physician that I knew in the United States and in Germany, to get second and third opinions as to what we were looking at and what we were facing. And unfortunately, all of the second and third opinions were the same, and that McKenna's tumor was fast growing and inoperable. I was in the room with her when she had her first seizure, and after that seizure, she no longer opened her eyes to look at me, and was only responsive by like squeezing my finger and responding to the sound of my voice. And so thankfully I was able to call Keith and Avery, and they were able to talk to her and tell her, you know, all the things that they wanted to say. And minutes later, after Avery had gotten off the phone and Keith and I were talking to her, she left her earthly body, and while I was holding her.
Janelle and I and Jameson and Avery and this entire community, honestly, has really spent a lot of time grieving and trying to understand, not necessarily the why or the how or anything like that, I think, but what are we gonna do?
And how do you find the meaning in all of it?
Exactly. And what are we gonna do about it? Because we have been the recipients over the last year of an incredible amount of support from friends, family, and that's not even to mention the foundations and organizations that have been brought together specifically because of this purpose. To name a few: Unravel Pediatric Cancer, the Super Sam Foundation, Tough Together out of Central Kansas, 3 organizations, just to name a few.
Instrumental.
Have been instrumental in literally us surviving this, and much less finding enough footing to say, okay, there is a way to have an impact. There is a way to do something. Myself, my wife, my kids, there was just absolutely no way that we were going to go through something like this and not try to do something about it. The thought of this continuing to happen to other kids, to other families, is almost as egregious as the thought of it happening to me.
Absolutely.
We're blessed with Janelle, who just says, okay, well, you know, we will form our own organization. Watch this. She's incredible in that role, and her mom heart. It's not to be taken lightly, and so we knew again that we had to do something, and so I think being as touched as we have been by these other organizations,
and just women and men and moms and dads who have walked the same journey as us, and have really been such a beacon of, you know, hope as to what would the other side look like.
And so drawing from, you know, strength and experience with these incredible organizations and individuals, we have decided to launch the Brave Like McKenna Foundation in honor of our baby girl. And we will, you know, try to affect a number of avenues of pediatric cancer. Monetarily, fundraising, help with research. We really like the family support element as well. So, you know, getting in touch with these moms and dads who have kids in the fight. What do they specifically need? They need that dog by any chance?
Yeah, to be able to provide caregiver support. I know that, the caregiver support that we received during McKenna's fight was just out of this world. We felt held so closely by those moms and dads of those foundations, and look to collaborate with those foundations to pool funds to impact pediatric cancer research. While McKenna's diagnosis was diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma or diffuse midline glioma, brain tumor research isn't the only research that we will be funding, because we recognize that supporting funding for all pediatric cancer research is so important, because usually when it helps one thing, it can help something else, and being collaborative in those efforts is super important to us.
Well, kids shouldn't have cancer.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind it is.